sharing with you one of my top favorite espressos and one of the most influential metal records of the entire 1990s. Coming up next on Roasted Spins. The coffee I'm going to be talking about today is one of my top favorite espressos. You've seen it in the grocery stores for years. It's in the yellow and red tin or in the yellow red bricks. It's called Cafe Bustelo. It's a wonderful espresso that has a little bit of a chocolatey, nutty taste, and it's really smooth, but it has intense flavor. Cafe Bustelo was started by Gregorio Menendez Bustelo, who was born in Spain in 1894. During his young years, he lived in Cuba before finally settling in New York City in 1917. He began by selling the Cafe Bustelo grounds to theatergoers in New York City before finally opening his own storefront on Fifth Avenue, which was called Cafe Bustelo Roasters. Cafe Bustelo became popular with the Cuban exiles, who preferred using espresso machines as opposed to the coffee socks of the time. After the success of his initial storefront in Spanish Harlem, the Cafe Bustelo grounds started to make their way across all of New York City's bodegas. Cafe Bustelo remained successful all through the 20th century and is now owned by the J.M. Smucker Company. This is one of my absolute top favorite espressos. I always have it on hand, even in between when I try new ones. I always go back to Cafe Bustelo because it's like an old friend. The album I'm going to be talking about today is Prong, Beg to Differ. Beg to Differ is the second full-length record by Prong, and it was released in 1990 on Epic Records and features absolutely stellar album art by Brian Pusshead Schroeder. One item of note from the album Beg to Differ is that a portion from the track Lost and Found was featured on the commercial breaks for Headbangers Ball on MTV in the early 90s. The lineup for Beg to Differ includes Tommy Victor on vocals and guitar, Ted Parsons on drums, and Mike Kirkland on bass. Beg to Differ also marks the final record that Mike Kirkland was on. Beg to Differ was produced by Prong and Mark Dodson. Some of you may know other Mark Dodson work, including Anthrax, Persistence of Time, Suicidal Tendencies, Lights, Camera, Revolution, and actually the follow-up record to Beg to Differ entitled Prove You Wrong. One of the most iconic and coolest features of Beg to Differ is the heavily gated reverb snare. I am not sure who thought of this, but I'm sure glad they did. It really has a feel of like a little bit of the industrial type musics that the band liked at the time, transferred into the rock and roll realm. It was a great way to kind of get some of that feel. At least that's why I think they did it, but it also makes it really stand out. The production on Beg to Differ is crystal clear. You can hear every single instrument, and they all work together perfectly, and it really is a genre-defining record. I know at the time, Pantera was just getting ready to come out, and they were setting high bars and changing the genre too. And for a while, Prong and Pantera were kind of neck and neck in that. Not that it's a competition, but you could see these bands coming up together. And then after Vulgar Display of Power came out, Pantera just shot to the stratosphere. But Prong kept on going and released some excellent records. But Beg to Differ is really the turning point for Prong and what set the tone for their future albums. They helped start a genre and never really got complete credit for it. So look up Prong, spin the vinyl, put the CD in, or stream and enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me on another edition of Roasted Spins, where I share with you coffees that I discover from around the world and talk about albums from my record collection. Until next time, cheers.